interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
What's up, friends, and welcome to another episode of Kobold Talk, the podcast where you can take in a little kobold magic, discover new ways to make kobolds more fun, most importantly, take candle. I'm one of your co-hosts, Casey, and with me as always, my co-host, Brent. We're going to be talking some kobolds. As you may be aware, on the last episode, we talked a little bit about the ancestry of kobolds and some of the origins, and now we're going to expand on that and get into some more stuff. But before we do that, I am going to turn it over to my co-host, Brent, see what he's been up to in old Kobold land over here.
Well, I had a chance to play a kobold agnostic game this weekend. I played Saga, the Age of Kobolds, and I proxied in an army. I didn't have enough kobolds, so I used a lot of old Bretonnians to play that match. I need to work on building up my kobold collection so that I can play a full army of kobolds with no proxies. But I gotta say, it was a good game, a well-designed game, and looking forward to playing more kobold agnostic games in the future.
Are there a lot of kobold agnostic games? Because the Saga Age of Kobolds is pretty famous, but
more than you might think.
Yeah.
Space Station Kobold.
Oh, okay.
Kobold in Hell.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, those are from Snarling Kobold games. There's one-page kobolds.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Frost Kobold.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Is that Star Kobold, or did they just skip that?
There's also Star Kobold, yeah, depending on what you want to play.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah. I do like kobolds in space. I think that it gives them a lot of character, right? Because kobolds don't generally go to space.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So you've been playing some games.
I have. But like I say, I need to build the kobold collection, and previously I've built plastic kits, WizKids frameworks. But of course they also have the PVC minis. You can get just Nulzer's kobolds. You can get Reaper kobolds. I'm trying to think, what other kobolds are there? Epic Encounters. That's a thing.
They got a lot.
That's
yeah.
Steamforged, right?
Yeah.
Can't remember. Yeah. But they definitely have a kobold box. But honestly, the future is 3D printing. I was on my mini factory today. It's also on Etsy today. But man, my mini factory has so many kobolds. And we talked last time about the physiology of kobolds. You have some with wings, you have some with little goatees, you have some with more like wolf-like snouts, you have some, even to the point of having whiskers. But you also have some that have more like beaked snouts,
right?
Where that upper lip really becomes bony and protrudes down in a sharp point, like a dragon's beak, or a wyvern. And there is a ton of variety for whatever your taste may be in kobolds. And we can talk a little bit about that. I'm curious to know what you like, Casey, but there are a lot of options if you have access to a 3D printer or are willing to pay somebody on Etsy to do it.
Yeah, there are. In fact, there are a lot of Etsy sellers who buy the license for these files, and they print out a lot. So you don't even have to have a 3D printer for sure. You can buy them like that. Even our good friend Danny, his Lost Adventures kobolds are available on Etsy. I've seen them plenty. In fact, I've seen them on eBay as well.
Those are some real good ones. Real good ones.
Yeah, hopefully those aren't illegally being reprinted and sold. I don't know. But they're very good. Personally, I don't know. I kind of lean towards the more beaky snout, reptilian kobold, but I do have a soft spot for kind of the good old rat looking kobold, the kind of like, I don't know, they're just kind of slimy. Like they don't really they're not to be trusted, so to speak. Like when you're saying that you're playing the Saga Age of Kobolds,
yep,
and you're saying you're using Bretonnians. See, in my mind, I'm just thinking, no. Those Bretonnians, their armor suits and their horses, they're just stuffed filled with kobolds. They're not real. They're put together. They're just hiding inside, right? And those seem very rat-like to me, and I like that, as a mental image.
Well, kobolds can do that. Have you seen the model that is 3 kobolds inside a trench coat?
Yeah. There've been a couple.
Yeah,
I know that. One not too long ago that came out, and another one that WizKids, could have potentially copied, but who am I to say? That will be available at some conventions upcoming that I am hoping to get.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes in the course of human history, people in different countries come up with the same idea at the same time, make the same discovery at the same time. It happens a lot in science, and someone invents this chemical in France, and then somebody does it in Great Britain, and they both publish papers within like a month of each other. And was the Frenchman copying? Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But it's also very possible that they did somehow, come up with it on their own, just in a nicotine-fueled burst of ingenuity. It's possible.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair to both of the designers of these kobolds,
so WizKids
that is
and
just a thing.
Vevictus Minis.
Vevictus, yeah.
I gotta say, so Vevictus is a 3D printing company, and I love a lot of their sculpts. And in particular, a masterpiece that is absolutely worth shouting out is this set of 3 kobolds standing on each other's shoulders inside a trench coat, posing as people,
Yeah. Exactly.
But
it's pretty brilliant.
It is.
But like I was saying, it's like a historical thing, right? Like kobolds in general throughout history, put themselves into different places. They can even be helpful to humans. They can dress up as humans.
Right.
So it's definitely like, okay, I can see where both of these companies, independent of each other, may have come to the same conclusion.
Of course.
Maybe.
Look, I saw the Vevictus one first, but yeah. like months and months first. But hey, who knows, right?
Yeah.
And it's also a better model.
Yeah.
But hey, if we see the WizKids one at Adepticon, we gotta pick it up. Like,
I mean, I will.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
You gotta speak with your wallet, and if there is an option to buy 3 kobolds dressed up in a trench coat, I think it is important that you tell that company that is what we want. We need a lot more of them so that we can replace all of the Bretonnians in my Saga Age of Kobolds army with kobolds.
Dressed up kobolds, where you can actually see their little snouts poking out,
Don't look too close. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't look too close. But yeah, if you're more in the mood of a single kobold wearing traditional kobold garb, man, there are so many options. I was cruising around on the internet today, and you ready for this? I got a list here. You ready? Get out your notepad. Ready? You got a pen? Does it work? Check it out. Okay. Dragon's Forge, Dice Heads, Cast and Play, Twin Goddess Miniatures, Artisan Guild, Goonmaster. I like those Goonmaster kobolds. The Lost Adventures, Good Epic name. Miniatures, Nova Minis, Vevictus, White Werewolf Tavern, Duncan Shadow, DM Stash, Print and Paint, Warp Miniatures, Printed Encounter, Kana Minis, Manuel Borea, and Stone King. And that's just to name a few. I mean, honestly, my worry is that some good Samaritan out there who's been working hard to craft kobold files heard me read that list, and they didn't hear their own name, and that's my fault. I'm sorry. I just want to make the point in general that a lot of good folks out there are sculpting a lot of very nice kobolds, and I just wanted to give a shout out to the community as a whole. And if I missed your name on there, please write in the comments below. Tell us where to find your kobolds, because we would love to check them out. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the more sculptors and companies that we can add to this list, the better. You know, we do. It's a goal, right, to replace all miniatures with just kobolds, and even if that just means, you know, like we could throw a little add-on to a suit of armor, just have a little tail poking out the bottom or something, like, you know, just little things like that to really give off the essence that just everything is kobolds all the time, then I think that's a noble goal. I think we can do that. And like I said, the more people we can add to this list, you know, the wider we can spread the whole thing, all the kobolds everywhere.
Oh, that's a really good point. And, you know, I think if you work for a company that makes physical miniatures, if you're involved in building sprues, like plastic sprues for any model range, and you find that there's just a little bit of surface area left in that sprue, if you're like, hey, you know, I could put a little extra bit here. Sure, you could put a little plastic rock or like an extra shield or something. But much better is if you put a little plastic scaly tail or just like a little snout. So like maybe just the snout portion. Yeah.
Yes.
So like there's a snout kind of poking out from like the belly region of somebody's shirt, or there's a little tail, you know, coming down under the tunic somewhere. And I think that really adds the depth to your model line that we need, because you made a nice line of medieval soldiers. But you know, looks can be deceiving. What's really going on here? Because, hey, that one in Squad 2, take a look, zoom in, enhance. There's a little tail coming out from between that guy's legs, and yeah, makes you think. Makes those minis be able to be played in any kobold agnostic game as long as the technology level is about right. Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, just to have those kind of bits floating around at all times to boldly convert your models, like that's just more of what we need to see in this world.
So, you know, Casey, I'm glad you said that. Bold is such a good adjective. You know, it's it's really it's a synonym with brave, bold, brave. And that's something that we value around here. And, you know, I was thinking, I really like the alliteration of bold kobold. And I actually did an internet search for that recently. And
yeah, I heard.
Yeah, boldkobold.com does exist. And I'm like, okay, I bet these are my kind of folks. And I went there, and it's like, must be 18 years or older to enter boldkobold.com. Like, whoa,
so of course you're
what's
over
going
18,
on here?
So,
I am over 18. I am for quite a while. And these must be people who take kobolds very seriously. And so I entered, and it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. Yeah, I thought it was going to be kind of a place for mature hobbyists to talk about kobolds.
Right, yeah.
It was more
the more
like
serious side.
Yeah, it took a little bit of a turn, though. It turns out boldkobold.com is more like an explicit furry site, which is not what I was expecting. I did see some glimpses of kobolds before I, X'd out of that tab. So, really, I just want our viewers to know that boldkobold.com is an explicit furry site that involves kobolds.
Yeah.
And do with that information as you will. Like, I've made my choice, my personal choice on the matter. I closed the tab, but no judgment here. Yeah.
I mean, you do what you're going to do, but yeah, kobolds are for everyone, right?
Well, if you're 18 or over. Yeah.
Right, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on your jurisdiction and whether you're willing to lie to your computer. Yes. What? Yeah.
Right. To your computer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's really all it is, isn't it?
Yeah, but hey, at the end of the day, our integrity is all we have. So if you want to start lying to your computer before you're even 18 years old, I mean, that's one path you could go in life. I don't know if that's what we advocate here on Paint Boldly, but yeah. Wait, no, what podcast is this?
Kobold Talk.
Kobold Talk. Yeah.
I know. We did that in the first episode. We're still working out the kinks over here at Kobold Talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to start a podcast, like I mentioned in the last episode. So
it is.
We're just getting through it, trying to do our best. We appreciate everyone, honestly, and this is in all perfect honesty. I appreciate, and we appreciate each and every one of you for seriously buying up the Kobold Talk merch. And I'm not even kidding. Like, we sold more Kobold Talk merch in the last year than literally any other merch that we have.
Podcast is off to a great start. Yeah, we maybe should make more than one episode a year, but then again, maybe we shouldn't.
I mean, I don't know. Like, as much as there is just so much to dive in on when it comes to kobolds, like, I don't like overwhelming people, I like it to be an event, as it were. Like it's coming, we're excited, and we're going to share with you the best, boldest information we possibly can. And then that's it. We got to do what we got to do. So let's keep going. Let's keep going with more kobold stuff. What's next? We got some other good stuff on this list. Made a big list this time.
Oh yeah, you gotta plan your podcast in advance so that you can have a good podcast and really educate people about things they need to know. All right, I got a question for you here, Casey.
All right, hit me.
All right, so we've been talking about all these people designing their own kobolds, but as miniature painters, we don't necessarily do a lot of sculpting, but we do a lot of painting. So if you get yourself a fresh, clean kobold, you fill in all the gaps, you trim all the mold lines, you prime it up. What color speaks to you? What's your favorite color of kobold? Roy G. Biv, what do we got?
Well, a little cop-out answer, I guess. It depends. It depends on the type of kobold that I'm painting, right?
Okay.
Because if it is more of the dragony, scaly, taily kind of kobold, then I really do want to opt for that red kind of orangish look. Like I feel like it just fits with that vibe, But if I'm getting something else, like a more ratty kind of one with some whiskers, then I might go a little brown. Probably go a little darker with that. So yeah, something like that. But blue is also very good. Like the snowy kobolds from way up in the mountains, But then there's also the kind of brown and green ones that live, in trees and stuff. It's a really hard choice.
That's a good point. I mean, as we all learned in Dragons of Autumn Twilight, there are a lot of different types of dragons out there. And I know the red dragon comes to mind for a lot of people, but there's so much more. And just like their larger, dragonkin cousins, these little guys, they can be almost any color. And each of those colors comes with a distinct history and heritage and even special abilities. So, I had to smile, Casey. You were saying, first up, traditional red, orange, brown, the kind you see right in the monster manual, like the classic D&D 5e or 4e.
It's definitely
or
the D&D one.
Yeah.
I think, actually, I'm pretty sure it was 2, but that's whatever.
All in there. Kobolds, as far as the eye can see. Yeah.
Yeah. But only popularized the red color because of D&D. I don't know if you knew that. In fact, colored kobolds has really only been popularized through D&D. And a lot of that comes down to people even writing what different colored kobolds mean for their games, the homebrew D&D stuff, because I don't think D&D has separate colors.
The community really adds a lot to the lore, and we appreciate that so much, because there is so much to learn and to discuss, and there's theory crafting. But like you said, Casey, it's kind of funny. The next thing you went to was the blue kobolds, and honestly, I'm not as up to date on the dragon lore of what blue dragons and blue dragonkind can do, but I just like the colors. I think kind of the really vibrant blue scales combined with a really pale blue belly, like almost like tan, like just really light in color. I love that. I think it's a beautiful color scheme, and one of the next times I find myself with a whole bunch of kobolds on my painting desk, that's going to be a real temptation for me, that blue kobold color scheme.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're playing like Frost Kobold or something, like you definitely need your
Frost Kobold
in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that
game gives a lot of color variety. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes place in the town of Frostgrave, and so you generally build your kobolds to be kind of like cold weather adapted. Either they're wearing a lot of cold weather gear, thick woolen cloaks, thick fur cloaks over their armor, or you get cold-blooded kobolds who have that blue color. And I don't like to make assumptions, but I think with Dragonkind, I think I'm remembering this, that the blue color gives them a little more attunement to winter situations, to frost magics. And so I think that would be a really good choice if we're playing the game of Frost Kobold. You get your kobold wizard, you get your kobold apprentice, and then you get your squad of, I think it's 10 kobold soldiers. Sound about right?
It's been a minute, but that sounds right.
Yeah. It'll come right back to us, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, if video games, honestly, have taught me anything, it's that a blue kobold is clearly adept at frozen things, and a fire would hurt it a lot. That's and vice versa with the red one. The bluey things would hurt the red one.
Super effective. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It makes perfect sense, honestly.
It does. Now, as I've been trying to learn more and more about kobolds, I'm just really passionate about these little guys. And I was doing some searching. I found out there are multiple companies that have kobold in the name. Beyond just boldkobold.com, there's also koboldpress.com. So after you get away from boldkobold.com, go to koboldpress.com. That should be your next step. It's something, just as soon as you X out of that, like as soon as you see that stuff, X out of it, and then just in your mind say, oh yeah, Brent told me now is the time to go to koboldpress.com. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and we all have different mnemonics for remembering important information, but when you think of explicit furry content, just try to link that in your brain with koboldpress.com so that you remember to go there next, because I think that's I think that's really more what you're looking for. Now,
for most people, for sure.
For most people, no judgment.
Yeah.
No judgment. But I went to that website today, koboldpress.com, and was looking through some of their modules, and they're actually doing some really cool stuff, kind of preserving the spirit of D&D 5e. They've got a whole game system that they've been working on that's independent. But more importantly, on their website they have a mascot, and I think this is worth going to look out. And again, after you click away from the Kobold furry stuff and you go to Kobold Press, the new kobold art you should be looking at is something called the Swollebold. So
the Swobold.
Swobold, yeah. So that is a portmanteau of Swole and Kobold. Mm-hmm. And essentially it is a swole kobold. It's a jacked kobold, a pumped, roided, huge. Is a big boy, or I'm not actually sure about kobold genders. Something for episodes 3, 4, and 5 here. But
we're gonna get into that.
There is so much to learn and discuss and appreciate about this fine species. Now, the Swobold, he's a big old kobold, and I love him. I think he's really neat. But he also reminded me a lot of a Croxagore. So
yeah.
So if you feed a kobold steroids, you feed him pre-workout, you feed him creatine, you feed him HGH, you feed him KGH for kobold growth hormones. You really bulk up your average orange kobold. You end up with a Swobold, and I thought it was interesting that, hey, the Swobold kind of looks like a Croxagore. And so that made me think that kobolds are more fundamental in fantasy art and fantasy gaming than we might have really appreciated before.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not every day you see a Swobold. Although, ironically, the name of my Blood Bold team is the Swobolds.
Do you have a lot of linemen in that team?
Yeah, real swole.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Do you have the runners and the catchers, or mostly Swobolds?
Well, most of them. Of course, you get your I don't know, just some of the players. They're real tiny. You gotta slip in and out. Get a little extra for that. Quarterbacks maybe halfway in between. Not too swole.
Right.
Swole enough to throw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But generally.
Like a toned bold.
Yeah.
Cut bold.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's important to build up a team, build out the team. You need a variety of body types. You need a variety of skill sets. No, and I'm glad you've been doing some play testing there to figure out what you want on your Kobold team. Kobold Bold?
Yeah. Blood Bold.
Blood Bold. That's it.
Yeah.
There's always a couple directions you could go on that sort of thing,
Yeah, I mean, Kobold or...
Yeah, for a long time, I thought it was Rain in Kobold, from Snarling Kobold games. It turns out it was Kobold in Hell the whole time, and I just had it switched up in my mind, and that's all right. We're all here to learn,
Yeah. It's funny. The whole Swobold thing definitely makes me think of. So I just backed a Kickstarter.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that might be a good character to play. So it's called Kobolds Ate My Baby. Now the game's been around for a while. Apparently it's a pretty fun RPG based on this whole simple system. Sounds pretty awesome, and they're doing a whole refresh with an expansion. So I was like, this seems like a good game to play with my little kobolds, as soon as they're mostly old enough,
Right.
So, yeah, I think having a Swobold character would be pretty funny. Because that's what the game's all about. Kobolds generally a little weak.
Right.
Perceived that way, generally. So you die a lot in this game, but maybe going all out Swobold would be pretty fun. That does sound cool.
Well, I think that's a great idea. You want to break the stereotype, and show your little bolds that appearances can be deceiving, and
yes,
you really get to choose your own path in life. And if you wanna, just eat a whole lot of untested and, illegal in most states, kobold growth hormone in order to become a swobold, you can do that. And honestly, you can be a pretty swobold by the age of 16, 17 if you're willing to cut a few corners and, live boldly. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think
just because you were saying that the age of the kobold's 16, I just wanted to throw out there, just kind of try and do the the podcast thing of information when it's required.
Okay.
So a kobold's lifespan is typically about 120 years, and a young kobold, I don't know if you know this, Brent, but a young kobold, which I'm not sure the range, probably about 16, I would guess, is called a kobold young. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Instead of kobold. Yeah.
I didn't know that before, and thank you, Casey. I appreciate that. Oh my goodness, look at the time. We're almost half an hour into this episode of Kobold Talk. So we gotta run some quick advertisements, and we were unable to lock in any actual sponsors for this episode.
It is only episode 2.
Yeah,
I really thought they'd be calling by now.
Yeah, but, our pitch was not very good. So instead, we're gonna do the typical thing of please go to our website and subscribe and hit the bell. And we've been studying up on this social media stuff, and we've gotta give you a reason to comment. So so right now Kobold Talk is being hosted on this other YouTube channel, Paint Bravely the Podcast. So if you go to youtube.com and you search for Paint Bravely the Podcast, that's honestly probably going to be the fastest way to find Kobold Talk, and we're on episode 2 right now, Kobold Talk episode 2. But once you get there, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell boldly. And then it would be great if you could leave a comment. And I know it's kind of weird to be hey, leave a comment and say, what you think of the Kobold Talk, especially because you don't even really know what this podcast is. We're only on episode 2 here. So
that's fair. Yeah.
I wanna give our listeners a little game. And we like to involve our listeners here at Kobold Talk, and try to find ways to kind of bring you into the family of bolds we're growing here. It'd be some of our co-young, and yeah. So all right, here's the game. Take your favorite movie and replace one of the words with kobold. Okay. Yeah. So
I love it.
So to give you some ideas, I'm gonna read a few possibilities, and don't take these. I took these. Man, I took some good ones. I feel kind of bad, but okay. So for example, a funny comment you could leave is "Inglorious Kobolds." The good, the bad, and the kobold. Saving Private Kobold. Of Mice and Kobolds. Das Kobold. No Country for Old Kobolds.
Oh, that's a good one.
The Usual Kobolds. Full Metal Kobold. One Flew Over the Kobold's Nest. Or, this is the last one, and then you can do, your own and really add to this list. The last one I'll give you, just as an example, is Driving Miss Kobold.
All right. I do have a question. It seems fairly important. What if the movie that you like only has one word in it, the kobold?
Well, it might not be as funny then, because we won't know exactly what you were trying to say. But on the other hand, sometimes if you kind of carry a joke too far, way too far, it becomes funny again. It circles back around and it becomes funny again. So if there's just
that's fair.
If there's just a whole mountain of comments that just say kobold, the kobold, das kobold. Das kobold kind of clues you in a little bit, but I think that's still funny. I think that's still funny. Like, we won't know exactly what you intended. Okay. We won't know, like, why it's funny in your brain. But I think everybody will look at that and still get a good little chuckle. So,
well, how about this then? Okay, if that is the case, like I said, The Kobold. Right? Yeah. Like, that is a movie. I see it in my head, and it's hilarious.
What movie are you imagining?
What movie,
Casey?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm imagining.
I'm not going to tell you.
Well, I'm imagining The Jackal with Bruce Willis, and that's what I'm imagining. So,
well, don't you know? I mean, kobolds are often mistaken for dogs.
Well, it depends on the type of kobold, and we've been over this before, Casey, but we'll be over it again too, because repetition is the key to memory sometimes.
Mm-hmm. The Jackal, though, that's a deep pull. Like,
you got The Jackal starring Jack Black, right?
Yes,
you know what I mean?
No, that was the best part of the movie.
And Richard Gere. Yep.
Yeah, great.
Mm-hmm. Great. Little known fact, Richard Gere collects kobolds. Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, so Richard Gere, if you're listening, and we know you are, just leave a comment with your favorite movie with one of the words swapped with kobold, and smash that like button.
It's literally The Jackal. I mean,
it is The Jackal. It's just gonna... She's gonna be Gearman 2000 posts the kobold in the comment section, which is kobold, fine. Is fine. All right,
it's fair. I'm just saying, if it does pop up, it'd be also fun to guess. Just throw a guess.
Yeah. If you see that somebody else has posted the kobold or kobolds, or the koboldening, or, something like that, if it's a little bit vague, feel free to respond to that comment with your guess of what that movie probably was.
Yeah. Oh, Kobold World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Waterworld, but there are others.
Nailed it. You nailed it. I was thinking Westworld at first, and then I was like, no.
Kobold Costner.
Yeah. Fish kobold.
Do you know the little girl in Waterworld was played by the love interest in Napoleon Dynamite?
I did know that. I did, because I've seen Waterworld far. I don't want to say too many times. I've seen it a lot.
A good amount of times.
In fact, since when did that movie come out? Like 96-ish, 7-ish?
I believe that. Yeah.
Somewhere around there. Yeah. It's been a good, like, 25, almost 30 years. But even to this day, my friend, anytime I'm around my dad and, like, somebody's holding some paper or they're talking about trading something for something, he goes, paper. Have you ever seen such
paper?
It's paper. Oh, my God. Yeah. To this day.
And plus, he's always chain smoking.
That's true.
Yeah. So, I learned a lot about sailing from that movie. You just got to crank that son of a gun as fast as you can.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, whatever that does.
Yeah, crank boldly. Sailing. Yeah. Kobold Costner. Kevin Kobold? Nah, Kobold Costner's
Kevin
better.
Kobold's pretty, but Costner is the giveaway for sure. Yeah.
But you could do Napoleon Kobold or Kobold Dynamite.
Kobold Dynamite definitely works.
It does. So look, there's a lot of ways you can go there. And I'm sorry, we took a good little break there to pitch our own podcast, and in the future we will have paid sponsorships from Raid Kobold Legends and that sort of stuff. Kobold VPN. So
that actually would work. I could do that.
Yeah, we should probably just make that company ourselves. And
Kobold. Koboldscaped. Ah.
Oh, yeah, Koboldscaped.
Yeah. But till then, right. Go down into the description, check out the merch store, pick up your Kobold tapestry, Kobold pillows, Kobold What else we got? Mugs, kobold shirts, kobold hats, kobold masks. What else? Kobold posters, kobold stickers.
Yeah, we do this for the love of it, but we want the money. We do it for the love, but we want the money. Yeah.
So, why else does a kobold mine? Like, why?
For the shinies. It's all about the shinies. And, we live in the modern world today, and, the kobold miner of yesterday with a candle on his head becomes the kobold podcaster of today. And that's, the world keeps on spinning, So, all right, Casey, I've got another segment planned here. It is March. So I've set up a little bit of March Madness, and I'm a big nerd. I care, more about fantasy settings than I do sports. I really don't understand sports, but I've seen brackets before, and I think I can run a bracket here. Now, Casey, you are going to be the decider in this game.
Ooh, okay.
So we're running a bracket of cool fantasy races, all right?
Okay. There's a lot of good ones.
There are a lot of good ones. Now, for this bracket, we're actually pretty late in the month of March, so I think we're on the quarterfinals already. Like, somebody else did the rest of this bracket. We're all the way to the quarterfinals. And
sure, yeah.
And for some reason, it's mostly the smaller fantasy races that have progressed to this stage in the tournament. So we're going to start right off with a tough one, Casey. Gnomes?
All right, I'm ready.
Okay. Which is cooler as a fantasy race, as miniature lines? What just makes you happier? Gnomes or dwarfs?
Dwarfs.
Dwarfs?
Dwarfs, hands down. Yeah.
Why?
They got the beard. They got the blacksmithing abilities. Like, they're both, they're kind of short compared to like your normal humanoid. Which I like. But dwarfs a little more swole than gnomes. I'm a little more on the axe chopping side of things than the magic wielding side of things. And pointy hats get me.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Boldpointyhats.com is my thing, but
yeah. It's not necessarily what I would have gone with, but I think you made a strong case there, Casey. So, we changed the channel to ESPN Bold, and we've got another matchup here. Looks like a tight contest between the deep gnomes, so kind of the dark gnomes, in the Underdark. So deep gnomes are coming up against the skinks.
Oh, skinks? Okay.
Ooh, this is a tough one.
This actually is a tough one.
Yeah.
I like skinks.
They all made it to the quarterfinals. These are excellent fantasy races. Good. Yeah.
They are. Oh, man. I'm okay. All right. Well, see... All right, the pointy hats win me over. The dark pointy hats. I have to go with that.
Deep gnomes it is. All right.
I have to. Skinks are great.
Yeah.
They're very kobold-like, especially you're talking about the swole, the swobolds and such, and your Croxagores and whatnot.
They are kobold-like, and that may be a different day of figuring out the origins of skinks and why are they so similar to kobolds, yet not quite as cool. Like, I think that's...
Yet not quite as cool.
So anyway, deep gnomes advance. We have another contest here. We have halflings versus... And halflings are kind of the way to get around the Tolkien estate of saying hobbit, But halflings... though. Yeah. So halflings and kind of in parentheses, real quiet talk, hobbits, So halflings versus kobolds.
Oh, come on now.
Who wins?
Oh. I mean, it's got to be. I mean,
We're coming down to the buzzer here.
All right, can I posit something? Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there something else? There's more information?
Clarify here. Yeah. We want you to have all the information you need to make this decision.
What kind of kobolds are they?
Orange. No
Orange.
Wings. And not a lot of whiskers, but just a little bit of a goatee.
Just a hint.
Yeah.
Okay, a hint.
Yep.
Okay. And what kind of halfling hobbitsies?
I mean, they have hair on their feet, but they wear slippers.
Do they? They wear slippers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, I think that it's got to be the hobbits, because a hobbit doesn't wear slippers, so those must be kobolds in disguise.
So you're saying that this is actually kobolds versus kobolds?
Yes.
Huh. Well, I guess kobolds win.
That's a guarantee. Kobolds win.
Okay. No, you make a good point. Hobbits do not wear shoes. Wow,
No.
I'm surprised I didn't see that. Well,
Somebody wrote that down and forgot.
Yeah.
I mean, kobolds aren't necessarily the most intelligent creatures, but clearly they win.
No, you might be onto something here, Casey. Your knowledge has provided valuable insight. If we zoom in here, like, oh my goodness, I'm looking at I'm looking at these halflings up on the stage, and man, that the pantaloons on this one have a big bulge on the left leg. That's a tail. There's a tail in that.
Yes,
there's a tail in those trousers. My goodness,
definitely a tail.
It was kobolds versus kobolds the whole time. All right.
The whole time.
All right. The halflings must have got, like the real halflings must have got eliminated before the tourney even started. Okay. All right. And last bit of the quarterfinals here is goblins versus ratmen.
Oh, really?
Goblins versus ratmen.
Oh, see, why do you got to do this?
Man, the quarterfinals are tough, you know?
This is a really hard list.
Mm-hmm. These are all great fantasy races, but they can't all be winners.
I'm gonna give it to the Ratmen.
Why?
Because
I mean, I'll write down Ratmen, but I want to know why.
Like I was saying earlier, some of my favorite types of kobolds, and this just might be another ploy, is the kind of ratty brown, fuzzy-looking kobolds. They wear candles on their heads. They got basically rat features, rat tails, rat feet. I mean, I'm seeing a pattern here. I don't want to call it too soon, but I'm going to go with Ratmen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are in the semifinals now. The first up, we have dwarfs versus deep gnomes. Dwarves and deep gnomes. Who do you think?
I gotta stick with the dwarves on this one.
Oh.
Yeah, that magic doesn't matter where it's coming from. The big axe hacking off that pointy hat is just gonna take it.
You like them axes and them runes, yeah.
I do.
Ooh.
I do.
Ooh. All right. On the other side of the bracket, from the East Coast, we have kobolds versus ratmen.
I mean, you know, if I'm completely wrong, then the ratmen are just ratmen.
Okay.
And I have to give it to the kobolds for being the true kobolds, not the slightly off-kilter rat-looking kobolds.
Can't argue with an original. Kobolds make it to the finals. All right. Do we take 2 weeks off, like before we go to the Super Bowl, and just kind of,
do a
print up some T-shirts, print up a lot of dwarf T-shirts, print up a lot of kobold T-shirts, get ready to send a few crates to third world countries for the losers, and get ready to sell a lot of perhaps kobold shirts to the winners.
Well, it depends, right? It depends, because when you're talking about sheer brutality, right, the dwarves have an upper hand. But you come back down to just numbers, right? Players on the field, Brent. And kobolds take that every time. And I think the sheer tenacity and almost stupidity to a fault of kobolds really, really clearly puts them in the winner's corner.
Well, there you have it, folks. The finals came down to an epic contest between the dwarven people and the kobolds, and the masses of cheering kobolds and ko-young really let the judges know who was going to win. And hey, if you want to have a t-shirt to celebrate the victor of Fantasy Quest 2023, go on over to Kobold Talk and get yourself a kobold shirt and be part of a winning team. So, all right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to mark that. Kobolds won 2023. We'll have to revisit this in 2024, see who's going to come out on top. Kobolds on top.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And of course, if we did get funding like we were looking to do, then we would be able to make more episodes, and we'd be able to tell you who won week to week instead of just summing it up in the end.
Yeah, we got a regular pledge drive going on over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what else do we have for kobolds?
Well, man, I've been thinking about it ever since we last talked, and wings or no wings, Casey? What do you think? Like, if those kobolds wanted to come back stronger next year, should they go ahead and progress in their development and grow a set of wings, or keep them cute and clever and bold and no wings? What do you think?
I mean, I certainly like the original, and I think that again with the numbers, I think that they always have a shot there. And if you're talking about wings or no wings, like I'd prefer them without wings. But what I would like to see, and what is canon in D&D, is lycanthropic kobolds.
Really?
That turn into swobolds when the time is right.
Now, lycanthropy, that's vampirism, is it not?
No, that's werewolves.
Oh, the duality of nature. Yes.
Yeah, so at some point in time, kobolds learned to domesticate these things called dire weasels, right? Because they're big weasels.
Right.
Their kobolds are pretty small. So they did that. They domesticated them to serve them as guards and hunters, and it resulted in kind of lycanthropic kobold dire weasels. Now, I'm not sure how, but around 1 in 10,000 kobolds is kind of a lycanthrope in this way. So, I mean, they've got to do a lot of scouting, a lot of things like that, but they could find them. And I mean, the numbers are huge, like I said. So 1 in 10,000 is like at least one in every family.
Yeah, that's like in the movie Serenity, where 1 in 10,000 people from that planet become reavers. And I mean, basically become like dire people. But in this case, so the sci-fi, we're going back to fantasy. They get ye old fantasy setting. 1 in 10,000 kobolds infected with lycanthropy. You saying dire kobolds? Is that what you're saying? With the big,
essentially, but partially weasel. And I mean, again, I don't want to speculate as to why. There's a weird cross between kobolds and giant weasels, but I mean that's how they they turn into this kind of.
I mean, is the weasel part still visible? Like if you see a lycanthropic kobold, do you still see the weasel part?
My thinking is, okay, you played the Kobold Hammer, the Warhammers, the Age of Kobold.
Sure.
Yeah, so like the rat men in that game, some of them are like humongous, right?
Yes.
They're kind of giant, weaselly looking rats, but they're super swole. That's kind of what I have in my head.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's what I got in my head as to what that looks like. So kind of the same thing. More on the rat side of things,
Okay, so a lycanthropic human is a human and a wolf becoming,
right,
its own thing on the full moon.
In this case, it's Kobold and Dire Weasel.
Kobold and Dire Weasel. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dire Kobold Weasel. That's a DKW. 1 in 10,000. Man, that is frightening. So that's what I love about the life cycle of these kobolds is that there's so much potential for good, for bad. Just like within all of us, there's potential. And there's the opportunity for growth in good directions and bad directions, and towards the great unknown. But kobolds are just like people in that way, and I think that's why we find them so fascinating. Is that they start as young, cute little blue or red or green, co-children, but then they grow up, and depending on where they live and who their bold parentage is and who they meet along the way, they can become all kinds of things. They can be clever, they can be magical, they can be dirty thieves and steal from the jewelers in town. But they can also be the hardworking, salt of the earth kobold miners. They can grow wings and sort of pretend to be dragons. They can turn into dire weasel adjacent dire kobold weasels. And of course they can also just from a young age ruin their kidneys, ruin their livers by taking a ton of kobold growth hormone, creatine, other roids, various supplements, and other what they call enhancers from the locked case at GNC in the mall, in the kobold section, from the locked case, where they have things like T-bomb, K-bomb, bold bomb. They've got the bold max in there. They've got bold to the max. They've got bold cubed, the bold. And if you go to the mall, to the locked case at the general kobold nutrition store, and you got to pay for it. And part of what you're paying for is the fact that these supplement companies are constantly kind of skirting the law, staying one step ahead of the law, the way that Four Loko does. And they're staying ahead of the law so that just changing little chemical groups on essentially kobold steroids, so that it's kind of like legal kobold steroids. But you can go in there, even if you're not at the age of maturity for a young kobold, and you can go in there at the mall to the nutrition store in the locked cabinet, and you can buy these supplements, and you can read what you're supposed to take per day on the back of the bottle, and you can exceed that by 2, 3, 4 times the daily dose. And as long as you're eating enough, getting enough sleep, going to the kobold gym, you're gonna see those unnatural, bold gains. And you're gonna lose touch with your friends. You're gonna lose touch with your family. You're gonna be irritable. You're gonna be kind of unhappy all the time and not really know why. But also day by day, you're going to wake up, you're going to be bigger, you're going to be bigger, you're going to be bigger. And one day you'll wake up as a swobold. And, kobolds, just like all of us, we can go down different paths, make our choices. And there's so much opportunity in the world for kobolds. And, like I said, after you go to boldkobold.com and you decide whether or not that's for you, go on to koboldpress.com, check out their games, check out the swobold, and really give it some thought.
Yeah. And I know it sounds like, we're really advocating for the swobold, but there is a foundation to help.
Yeah.
If
there
you
is.
do find that your kobold's taking it a little too far.
There is.
Because that can happen.
Right. And it's okay to talk to somebody. If you feel like you've gone down a path and like I said, you've been taking 3, 4, 5 times the recommended dose of kobold growth hormone, and you just want to get back to where you were before, to the relationships you had before, and kind of to that simpler, smaller, bolder lifestyle. There is always a path back. There's always a path to forgiveness. You're gonna have to apologize to the folks you wronged along the way, as clearly, you were quadrupling your muscle mass. But yeah, there is a number to call for that, and it is always okay to seek help.
Yeah, and the other option is just straight up vampiric kobold.
That's right. So if you are unhappy as a swobold, you've spent all of your savings on these supplements to become very large, and you keep having to buy larger and larger sets of janky armor, and you keep buying more and more tin to strap onto yourself to try to cover your bulging muscles, but every day the surface area of your body gets larger and larger and larger, and you buy more and more tin, and you can't afford steel, and you can barely afford leather, and you're down to your last kobold penny with the little portrait of the Kobold King on it. And if you're ever like, how did I end up here? You can either call the number, or you can find a dire weasel. And you get a stick, and you just poke that dire weasel with a stick. You poke him over until he gets really angry. And if he comes for you, let it happen. Let it happen.
Yeah, let it happen. There are other ways.
Yeah.
There are other ways besides these.
Yeah.
But I actually did mean like vampiric, vampire, undead kobold. Like, you don't have to be swole to be swole.
Yeah.
And, you can be pale, you can be pasty. You might not be the same kind of kobold you were. You might only be able to go out 12 hours at a time. But
not in the
you
day.
will have the strength. Yeah, I mean, sunscreen maybe. Depends on the type of bite. I don't know.
So strength without the need to accumulate mass, strength without the need for the constant treadmill of supplements and
that can get old and expensive, and there's just a better way. You just have to invite it in.
But you will need to drink blood.
Yeah, I mean,
only go out at night.
Better than all that kobold whey powder stuff.
I mean, if you're a miner, you don't even have to go out in the sunshine.
That's true, actually.
Yeah.
If you are the type of kobold that spends a lot of time indoors, and being a vampire kobold is certainly a way to go.
Right. And you get that really good night vision, that dark vision. You don't even need a candle. Yeah.
Makes it a lot easier to sneak up on unsuspecting miners.
Just keep going deeper and deeper into the earth. No candle. Yeah.
Cave miners, like people who mine in caves.
And dwarves. I mean, we've already established that kobolds are better than dwarves. So, yeah. Look, we haven't had the discussion of dwarven vampire versus kobold vampire, but hey, we gotta have something for Kobold Talk episode 3, right?
There's always got to be something. I mean, there always is something. I got kobold facts all over. I got them everywhere.
Yeah,
and I'm not gonna I'm not gonna divulge them all today.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
We wouldn't have started
Except
this
for
podcast if
I did say that I was gonna mention that cobalt is actually named after kobolds, because kobolds used to delve into mines, and they wanted to screw a miner over, would poison all of the ore. And so cobalt was then named that after kobolds, because it is, in fact, poisonous.
Wow. Man, you learn something new every day.
That's true.
And I hope you all learned something there listening at home. make sure to check out Kobold Talk at its temporary homepage on Paint Bravely, the podcast. And on that note.
Yeah, thank you again for joining us on another episode of Kobold Talk. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on anywhere, subscribing to the YouTube channel that we mentioned a second ago, and sharing this message with your Kobold friends. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and remember, take candle.
Stay bold.